So hi everyone, today I just thought I would do a nice little short video just answering really a few questions that I asked you to give me on Instagram the other day. A nice chill one whilst I'm drawing this lovely commission of a beautiful little bunny rabbit. Yeah, so this is on pastel matte paper in dark grey, and unfortunately, so the client ordered the smallest size I offer, which is a 10 by 10 inch, and I was like, yeah, that's fine. And then we kind of agreed on a reference photo, and for some reason I didn't really think about the paper size, and then I went to go and put my sketch on it, and I realised that the photo that we agreed on was actually her bunny like on his hind legs, so he was really tall, which means that I've had to make the actual portrait pretty like tiny, and this might be one of the smallest ones that I've ever actually done, because it is really on the little side. I was actually planning on doing this piece in pastel, because I normally I decide more on what the photo looks like, or like what type of animal it is will make me decide if I'm going to do it in pastel or coloured pencil, but I just thought it's so tiny and I need the detail in this, and I didn't think the pastel was going to cut it, so I'm using coloured pencils, and I'm quite happy with how it's going so far. It's definitely a struggle because it is quite small, and much like cats actually, there's just not very much expression on like a rabbit, and obviously because he's a white rabbit, his fur's very white, and I know they say, like, you know, don't just use white, and I haven't. I've tried. I don't really know if you can tell on the head here on the camera. I've put in loads of purples, and I'm really happy with how the head's looking so far. But yeah, I just thought I would come on here, answer a couple of questions that anyone may have, and hopefully give you some answers. Alright, so the first question I have is from Instagram, and it says, how do you do your initial sketch? So I actually have a video on this on my YouTube already, and I use a tracing method. The reason I choose to trace is because, hold on, let me just find a pencil. There you go. So yeah, the reason I choose to trace is because I have deadlines I have to stick to for my commissions, and I give myself quite tight deadlines because I have quite just like a busy, I mean, I do quite a lot of things. I'm a full-time uni student, I have a part-time job, and I also would consider this business full-time as well, because it's like any minute I have left of my day. So yeah, I have quite short, strict deadlines to keep to, and if I was to sit there and freehand drawing, I know that I would just be sitting there for hours and hours trying to perfect it, and unfortunately I haven't really had the best like practice with freehand drawing, and I'll get into that a bit more on like kind of how I started with my business, and then, you know, you'll be able to realise why. But yeah, so I use the tracing method, and basically, long story short of what I do, I actually did my video using the graphite transfer paper, but I've recently actually gone to using pastel. So what I do is I get my reference photo up, and I grab a sheet of tracing paper, and I trace the reference photo onto the tracing paper, obviously making sure it's the right size for the sheet of paper and everything, and then I will go like flip the tracing paper over and then go in with the pastel and put pastel on the outline, and then flip the paper back over onto the sheet, and then kind of rub the pastel drawing onto there. So yeah, that is pretty much how I do my tracing. But yeah, I mean, if you want to do more in-depth, like actual filmed tutorial of how I do that, there's one on my YouTube. And I mean, all I really have changed is, instead of using the graphite transfer paper, I just use pastel instead. I mean, I could probably do an updated video on just maybe a few different ways on how to trace, but to be honest, haven't got the best experience doing that, because I have used that method for a very long time. My next question is, what kind of paper do you use? I purely use Pastelmat. So I started my commissions and I used smooth white paper, and I used the what was it called? This Bristol board smooth. I actually think I used a Daler and Rowney like heavyweight paper at the very beginning, but then I moved on to Bristol board, and I used that for ages and ages. And then I remember I ordered some Pastelmat because I heard loads of people. Is that right? I heard loads of people just raving about it, and I was like, okay, well, I'll get some of this and try it. And I remember the first drawing I did of it, I actually found a photo, and I absolutely hated the paper. I vowed to never use it again. However, if you can tell now, I use it all the time. It's all I ever use. I use the Pastelmat paper. I love it. I normally order 3 different colours. I use the what do I get? The light grey in the big 50 by 70 centimetre sheets. I get the light grey, the brown, and then the dark grey. And I think that normally gives me quite a nice range. However, I have recently just purchased some Pastelmat board, and I was always a bit confused to what the difference was, because they're supposed to be the same product. Pastelmat paper and the Pastelmat board supposed to be the same product, but obviously the board is thicker, and it's more like a rigid board that you can't bend, whereas the paper, you can tell, is obviously very bendy. Hence it's not sticking to my table because I've run out of masking tape, so I'm having to like press it down. But yeah, so it's supposed to be the same product, and it is not at all. The board is so much smoother than the paper, and I tried it the other day and I really liked it, like a lot, and I see why a lot of people use it. So I might make the decision to switch to the board, because if you can see here, I'm not sure how well you'll be able to tell, but it's quite grainy, like it's not, the best, and it takes quite a lot of tooth. However, because the board's smoother, it obviously smooths out a lot quicker. So yeah, I use Pastelmat. Thank you to the random dentist company in California that replied with a emoji. Thanks. My next question is what my favourite brand of pencils. So quick rundown. I started with the 120 set of Polychromos by Faber-Castell. I bought these when I was 15 for my 15th birthday by my mum, and she bought me the 120 set, and I used these for 3 years. I replaced any pencil that soon ran out or anything, and I just didn't really have an interest. I don't want to use that colour. I didn't really have an interest in like trying other brands, because I was just so used to using my Polychromos. But then I joined a Facebook group, and I'd never really joined like a coloured pencil Facebook group before, and that gave me a massive insight onto just different brands people use. So I then went and ordered some luminants, and I didn't order very many of these because they are quite expensive. So I only have like 5, and I absolutely love these. I was like, wow, these are so good. And then I read the Lightfast were quite similar. Derwent Lightfast. These are the luminants of Caran d'Ache. And I read that the Lightfasts were quite similar. So I went onto the website and they had a 50% off sale with a code, and I ordered a crap ton of these light fasts because I thought, well, I may as well make, oh, hold on. I may as well make use of the 50% off code. So I bought a load of light fasts, and I really do love them, but I will say I do prefer my light luminance. I feel like they all begin with an L. I prefer my luminance, and I have a set waiting for my birthday to open. I bought the new 24 colours, and I'm looking at either buying more of these individually or buying the full set, but the full set hits over the £200 mark, so that's definitely going to be a thing to think about if I do want them or not. But yeah, so light fasts, and I kind of love all of them. I love them all for different reasons. My next question: how do you do short hair textures? Short hair textures. So my biggest tip to you when drawing fur in general actually is making sure you drawing the correct length of the fur and keeping the direction of the fur correct. I think that's so important because, for example, I said this on my Patreon, if you, have like a German Shepherd with really long fluffy fur, and you draw the fur the same length as like a Labrador fur, it's not going to look like a German Shepherd, So I just think it's so important to keep that in mind when drawing fur. And so for short fur, it's hard to explain without showing you. I mean, this is short fur, and what I do is I try and do a lot of little tiny strokes, and obviously layering is a super important part, but yeah, lots of tiny strokes and just basically layering them all up. But I mean, I know it's kind of in the name short, but make sure you keep an eye on your hair length, because that could be the make or break of a whole portrait. But I'm going to do a video on my Patreon focusing on like different hair types and everything. So whilst I'm at it, my Patreon, I opened up a Patreon, and basically, if you don't know what Patreon is, it is where I'm going to be giving you basically like video tutorials and lessons exclusive to all my Patreon members. So you pay like a really low monthly fee. I've set it to £3 a month or £5 a month, and you get access to all this exclusive like material. A lot of it is going to be real-time tutorials. I've got one I'm going to post on the 1st of August. I'll give you a quick sneak peek because I haven't actually put this online anywhere yet, and I'm desperate to, because that's as much as you're seeing. It's a horse nose basically. So yeah, that is going up on the 1st of August, and it's going to be a 4-part tutorial focusing on leather, metal, fur, and then a horse's nose as well. So if you did want to sign up to my Patreon, I would love that a lot. I mean, obviously you don't have to, but if you did, and if you don't like it, you can leave the exact same month you joined. You're not tied into anything, because I know that's kind of a fear nowadays when you sign up to stuff like that, is that you're always going to be tied into something, but with Patreon you're not at all. Have I always wanted to do art for a living? It's difficult to say because I'm only 18 years old, but I can tell you that my mum went to an art college, and she was obviously really arty, so I've always grown up around it, and I was always that kid in school that like took art lessons way too seriously, and I don't know, just I was like, anytime it was Mother's Day or Easter or Valentine's Day or anything like that, I always used to go on the computer and print out little like colouring pages. Um, and I used to, so much art was in my childhood. I never thought that this was the career path that I was going to be going down. I'm so thankful it is though, because throughout all of high school and all of sixth form, I was quite worried about what I was going to do. I think as everybody is when you're that age. But I'm so glad that this is my job. I literally couldn't ask for anything better. So yeah, I'm really thankful for that. And regarding the future, I really don't know. As I said, I go to uni. I do illustration at uni, so I don't know if that's going to take me anywhere. It's all just kind of a big, like, wonder, really, isn't it? Yeah. A bit more like head-on rather than shiny side-on view. So yeah, I really don't know where my career is going to take me, and I'm so excited for the future. I have such like a drive to make my life happy and successful and whatever, and I'm glad that is a thing because I just love it all. So yeah. What's your favourite type of dog to draw? Dog? I guess you mean breed of dog. I don't even know. I do love drawing something like a Labrador or something with short hair. My favourite things to draw of all time are horses, which is really apt because I've only ever been asked to draw 2 horses in the entire 3 years I have been drawing, which is a bit crazy, but yeah, so my favourite thing to draw is horses. So I love everything about them. And I really like drawing short-haired dogs. Long-haired dogs, I mean, I still enjoy it, but I feel like it takes a lot more thought to draw a long-haired dog, if you kind of get what I mean. I'm just going to add a bit more contrast in his little like fluff clumps. Okay. My favourite piece that I've ever drawn. Wow, I think it's between 2. So I did a horse, and it was a horse called Holly, and it was the second horse I've done. And actually the piece for my Patreon that I've just showed you is that reference photo. So I did the commission and I absolutely adored how it turned out. I loved it, and I think it's kind of like become like a bit of a stamp for my business, that piece. So I loved how that came out. So that's definitely a contender. Or I did a piece recently. It's a massive A2 piece for a lady who lives in Dubai, and it was of her 2 dogs. One was a German Shepherd and one was a Golden Retriever. And I poured my heart and my soul into that piece, and I really do think it paid off, so I'm pretty proud of that one as well. Okay, I'll just do like... Oh, come on. Oh, there we go. Favourite thing to draw, I've done that. Do you think that everyone can get to a high standard of drawing? 100%. I don't believe, and I get told all the time, but I do not believe in any form that I have a God-given talent. Like, so many people say to me, you know, you have such a talent, and everything. But no. I put it down to the fact that I have drawn every single day for 3 entire years. Well, nearly every single day. Hit or miss. And believe me, as I said, I started my business aged 15, and I'm now 18. So you can believe, or I'm sure you can imagine what my drawings looked like age 15. They were nothing good. And on my Facebook, I posted like a little progress photo because I found a drawing I did when I was 12, and it is not good at all. It is dreadful, in fact. And so, yeah, I think everybody can learn. If you've got the passion to learn, if you have the patience, then 100%. I just genuinely think practice is all you need, really. Practice and passion. There you go. Nice little line there. Looks a bit daunting, but I'm just going to put in the little shadows of the little fluff clumps. How do you start your art business? Pricing, how to handle difficult clients, marketing, etc. So I'm going to do a video on this as well because I have quite a few tips on how to start an art business. So I won't go too much into this question, but I'll, outline it a little bit. So I would say the biggest tip I have is social media. It has never been easier to build a business. Social media just has a absolutely huge impact on any type of business nowadays, not just art businesses, any types of businesses. And I feel really lucky at the age that I am and how I've grown up kind of, like knowing social media. And so I definitely use that to my advantage, and I'm all for, trying to teach maybe some elderly or, more older people how they can use social media to their advantage. So I started my whole business opening up an art page on Facebook, and as I said, I was 15 years old, and I opened up this art page, and granted, it's grown over the years, but I never would have thought it would have got me to where I am now. My Instagram as well, I post on that all the time, and that's really, really helped. I do not want to go with the purple. So yeah, one of my biggest tips for starting an art business is social media, and just utilising it as much as possible, because it is a fantastic tool to connect with people all over the world and everything. Pricing is a really difficult one because I started as 15 years old, and I charged like £10 for a portrait, something insane like that, because I was so naive and young, and obviously people didn't trust me because I was so young, and I was almost forced to charge that much at that age, because people, they weren't going to pay any more for 15-year-olds to draw their dog. So I started off with my prices so low, and then I gradually, made them higher and higher. I'm still nowhere near where I want to be charging, but that's okay because I'm still really young. I do want to hit maybe the £500 minimum mark one day, but it is what it is, really. And I'm still growing my business and still learning myself, so yeah. Difficult clients, I have been blessed to have very little difficult clients in my business. I can't even really think of any. I've never really had people tell me that I'm charging too much. I seem to just have the most lovely people who follow me and everything, and I'm so grateful for that. I mean, there's always the problem with photos. I've had to turn a lot of photos down because they're not the quality, and that, you know, kind of annoys people, especially if their dog's passed away and they're the only photos they have. But yeah, that's, I mean, the only real problems I think I've really had with clients. So nothing too drastic. Right. Would you ever try wildlife drawing such as wolves and things? I used to. I did quite a few for my A-level because my teacher wouldn't let me draw dogs. So I thought the next best thing would be animals. Or, like, you know, animals that aren't dogs. So I did quite a few then. But recently I haven't, purely just because I haven't had the time. I'm really hoping with my Patreon it's going to allow me to do more tutorials, just doing other things. Like, obviously I've been doing this for so long now, and I very rarely have time to do things for myself. Oh, I will say though, I am drawing a parrot. Or it's not a parrot, it's a lorikeet. I'm drawing a lorikeet, and that has been absolutely wonderful. It's just been such like a relief, I suppose, compared to what I usually do, and it's absolutely bloody massive. It's huge. It is 70 centimetres by 50 centimetres, so a big old piece. But yeah, I would love to do, you know, a few more wildlife pieces and everything. A few more. How old were you when you sold your first piece? So I was 15, and it was my uncle who commissioned me. It was right after my 15th birthday when I got my pencils, and he must have seen it, that's what I got for my birthday, and his cat then recently passed away, and he said to me, he was like, can you draw me my cat? And I was like, yeah. And it was bad. It was not good at all. But I did it, and he was so happy with it. I remember standing in my kitchen, and he came in with my auntie, and he saw it, and they instantly just started crying, and I was like, wow, this is what it feels like to draw for people. And it was such a lovely moment, and that's when I realised, like, wow, I just need to do this. So I set up my Facebook page and everything, and yeah, the rest is history. Do I have any pets? No, I can't say I do. I've had guinea pigs quite a lot in my life, and I have 2 gorgeous bunnies at home at my mum's, but they are my mum's, so I can't say that they're my pets, because I don't live with my mum. I live in a flat. But those 2 little fluffs are my pride and joy. I think that's why I'm enjoying drawing this this rabbit so much. Yeah, they're my pride and joy. But no, I don't have any pets. I have this thing where, like, I swear that every other pet portrait artist has a horse, like, or like has involvement with horses, or had a horse, or anything like that. It seemed like everybody had a horse, or has a horse, and I just feel so out of place. I'm like, never had a horse, never come from like a horsey family, but yeah, I suppose you can't really compare yourself to everyone, can you? Okay, I'll make this the last question. What is your favourite drawing medium? So my favourite drawing medium is either coloured pencil or pastel. I can't pick between the 2. There's some days where I finish a coloured pencil drawing and I'm like, wow, I love coloured pencils so much. I purely just want to use this for the rest of my life. Screw pastel. Who needs pastel, you know, when you've got this gorgeous colour pencil. But then there's some days where I finish a pastel piece and I think the exact same thing about that. So I don't know if I could actually even tell you what my favourite medium is between the two. They just have such different qualities, and they're both wonderful for different things. And for a little self-plug again, my Patreon, I'm going to be doing quite a lot of videos on the differences between pastel and pencil, because I'm an artist that uses both. And yeah, there's not, you know, I've seen a lot of artists who just purely use one thing. So I want to use my knowledge of both mediums to help people branch out of their comfort zone or whatever. But yeah, I'm really happy with this little piece I've done. It definitely still hasn't got enough contrast, but I've shoved loads of colours in it, and I really like that. So yeah, I hope that I answered a few of your questions. Yeah, so I really hope that this was helpful to some of you. I just thought I'd do a nice little video. I really want to get back into posting on my YouTube and my Patreon and everything. And now I've got a summer, I'm not going back to work for a while, I'm not going to uni until September. I thought now, perfect time. I'll link my Patreon and my Facebook page and everything in the comments. And yeah, let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Yeah, I hope everyone has a lovely day, and I'll speak to you soon. Goodbye.